So thank you for joining us today, and we're going to look at our fast sales entry enhancement. As I mentioned, we've published a good number of enhancements for Acumatica, and some are on the Acumatica price list and certified. So what this program does, it gives you for quick invoice entry by scanning items, serial numbers, or alternate IDs. And each time you scan the item, it will increment the quantity by 1. You have the ability to set some default behavior for each workstation ID, things like load the cash customer, salesperson, tax ID, ship via. So as you're doing your point of sale transactions, those information get loaded from the workstation setting. We let you process high volume transactions. We had some challenges with Acumatica with number of transactions exceeded 5,000, 10,000, where it was taking some time to create all the SO transactions. So what we did is we wrote a whole new program that just lets you enter items, and we take care of the inventory and the payment when you process the point of sale transaction, and we update the rest of the records in a batch mode for you. Of course, that's an option. You could set up everything. You can set up a system so it updates the transactions in the live mode or the batch mode. So that maybe you have a 4th of July sales or during the Christmas holiday season, you set it up so it updates in the batch mode. Otherwise, you're updating live. We let you process sales and returns on the same transaction. We let you do will call transactions where you could enter in a point of sale transaction for the sales order that exists in the system, or enter items that you do not have in the stock, but you want to create a sales order in the system to generate the PO for it and ship the product later to the customer. Credit card processing, EMV chip processing, they're part of the system. Cashier reconciliation, open and close registers. We also have a cashier function. So if you have like 4 or 5 workstations that help customers, we have one cashier that they need to take the transactions to. We support that function. We print receipts, narrow 3-4 inch receipts, as well as open the cash drawer so you can put the money in the cash drawer. We do things like let you set up new customers based on customer class and check for duplicates and things of that sort. Our roadmap for 2020 includes setting up royalty program. As you know, we have a royalty processing system. And so we're gonna basically let you define the royalty reward program, as well as a discount that would apply using promos. And we'll calculate the points royalty earned by that customer, and we will allow that credit to be applied as a payment method to the transaction that is getting processed. Capturing signature and sending emails to the customer, that's being worked on right now as we speak. We're also, you'll see on our screen, we give you the ability to define some pictures, touch the picture or click on the picture, load the items. We're working on a tree structure where you can have things like furniture, electrical. When you select electrical, it would show the groupings, boxes, dimmers, wires. When you select wires, it would show you the building wires. And we're designing this so you'll be able to see the tree structure with the basically the names defined or the pictures. So it will let you go through like a tree structure and process it. And also, we basically will be modifying our screen to have icons on the screen for refund, exchange, new customer. So some colors would change on the screen, and some behavior would be set, and we're doing that right now for a customer, so that should pretty soon get released. So this is the screen where you set up your fast sales processing preferences. You basically who's the cash customer. Now, of course, some of the information here is also some of the default fields are also available at the workstation, so you can enter them at the system level. Then if they need to be changed at the workstation level, you could do that as well. The warehouse, the cash customer, the payment method. Notice that there's I've circled out the updating transactions in the live or batch mode. Register processing is above it. Things like auto set cash customers. So if you process a lot of cash customers and you want the system to automatically load the cash customer when you start a new transaction, that's available. Forcing full payment or just displaying a message that the full payment hasn't been entered is also an option. When it comes to salesperson, you can basically link a salesperson to the user login and it load that. whether or not you're allowed to change the salesperson is an option, the sales tax, whether we create in Acumatica is SO or an invoice transaction, that's also setting that you have. For duplicate customer tracking, what customer class to use when you're adding a new customer and what fields to use when you're checking for duplicates. When it comes to the fast sales entry workstations, again, you have the ability to define by workstation whether you're allowing will call orders, whether you're allowing returns on that workstation, whether you're allowing special orders to be generated from that workstation. So if you have 5 registers in a store, you could decide only 2 of them can process returns and all the others are just selling things and things of that sort. The same thing with will call. Will call could have a center that one of the workstations could be set up to do will call. The cash drawer print sequence. This is the terminal ID. We work with credit card terminals to let you charge credit cards, using EMV chip, and so that's the unique identifier for that credit card terminal. And this is where by user you let the system know that that user is working on the PC department and who is the other salesperson that gets loaded. We talked about register reconciliation. So it's an optional thing. So if you don't use it, you just uncheck the register processing on the setting, and none of this will happen. But otherwise, you open and close registers, and for the period of time that the register is open, we'll track how many transactions we process, cash, MasterCard, Visa, and all of that, and we'll print the reconciliation report so you can see the information. This is our fast sales entry screen. So you have this field called enter item. Notice that we're telling you here that you can scan the item, scan the serial number, hold the alternate item, or touch the picture, and it would load the item here. Every time you scan it, it will increment the quantity by 1. Notice that if it's a serialized item, basically system tells you that you're in the serial number input mode. You can, as I mentioned, also just scan the serial number. It will load the item and the serial number. But otherwise, if you just scan the item and it's serialized, then it will ask you for the serial number. We can select it. The way we program is that the buttons like return, special order, and add order are like a toggle. So if you click on return, everything you scan is processed as a return. Or if you click on special order, everything that you scan past that point would get loaded in a special, is a regular sales order that would get generated in the system. Of course, all the settings, order types, and all that are set up in the preferences for you. And this is that 3/4 inch, a receipt printer that we print the receipt. And here we're looking at the will call. So when you click on add orders, we will show you the orders in Acumatica that match certain conditions, and we'll let you load those in, and the customer, if it's in the store to take the product, can take the product. Here we're showing you special order. So when you click on it or you click on the special order checkbox, any item you scan from that point on would get added to the fast sales transaction. You can still collect money for it, but when you process it, it processes the items that were processed as fast sales point of sale transactions through the system, and the items that are flagged as special sales would get loaded into a sales order in Acumatica with the proper payment linked to it, and so forth and so on. Here is the return. So when you switch to the return mode, then everything that you scan is processed in the return. And we handle all of it. So it's a serialized item getting returned right when you update it. The serial number is added back into Acumatica for the item that you just got returned. So that's, again, part of the system. We let you select the order from history, duplicate it, or fully return it. So that's an option from the Actions tab. You could select and have it load an order from the history. And as you're doing that, as you're selecting the order, select whether it needs to duplicate the order or you're refunding the entire order, and it will load it. Of course, anything that is added to the system in the grid below in the document detail, you can click on it, change the quantity, or delete that one item. Adding new customer, again, an option. And as you can see in the fast sales entry, we let you basically tell us what customer class to use to get the default information and what fields to use to check for duplicates. So you can just have it check for email or the phone or anything that you want, and the system will check for duplicates and tell you that. But the idea is that by just entering some basic information and getting the rest of the information from the customer class, you can easily let the user, add a new customer to the system. So we talked about cashier function. This is the cashier function. So if you're doing fast order payments, you're basically starting a new payment transaction, and you're selecting which quick sell order you're processing payments for, and select it. And then this the same payment entry feature is available. By the way, we allow you for a given fast sales transaction and pay half of it with cash, half of it with credit card, half of it with this card, remaining part of it with the other card. All of those are processed in the system. So this same functionality is available in the cashier function, so you could actually process that. Later on, we will add to our cashier function, because we have had within our other ERP systems the ability to pay even with one payment application information from regular, payment for invoices that exist in the system, with payments for other customer numbers if the customers are linked. Process. So if you're not processing your transactions in the live mode, then the fast sales transaction entered are captured in the screen, and you can set up a job to go through and update them once an hour or whatever, or just, if you just haven't set up a job for it, just come in here, process all, and we'll update them at that time. Otherwise, you can select which transactions you want to update. This is the part that we work with, with the credit card terminals. As you can see, this happens to be on my desk. I just took the picture. It is a credit card terminal that is linked to the system. So when you select the type that is linked to TransSave, and the TransSave is the gateway that we use, but we also work with Zipster and USA ePay. It will come back and tell you insert the card in the machine. You insert the card, it goes ahead and check. And the nice thing about it is we give you the ability to decide whether you want to save the credit cards in the Acumatica and the customer vault. So if it, of course, we talk about tokenized number, but if it's a situation that you're just selling coffee or selling some things that people walk in and just buy some paper, and you don't necessarily want to add the credit cards to Acumatica or the vault, you can set up the payment method. So still goes ahead and charges the card, but in Acumatica, it just records the transaction as paid but not processed in